Rabbi say, welcome back to Yerushalmi Terumot. We are Perek Shmini. We are holding Daf Ayin Beis and Beis. Now, we mentioned in the Mishnah there are various cases. Now, what happened? The Kulab Shahaya Truma Latech PM. So we had cases where the truma was in the person's mouth. Rabbi Lezer said you can swallow it. Rabbi Shua said you should spit it out. We brought 3 examples of people who are possible to eat truma. And the Gemara says, which are the cases we're referring to? We say the Kulam. Rabbi Yochanan, Ma'pligin, where's the arguments mentioned in the Reish of the Mishnah of Machlokes Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yeshua? But Eved ve'isha. So an Eved of a Kohen who ate truma, and he finds out he's not an Eved anymore. And a wife of a Kohen who ate truma, and she finds out she's not a wife of a Kohen anymore. So in the Reish of Rabbi Yeshua, what happens? They put the truma in their mouth at the time when they were permitted to eat. Before they swallowed it, the woman becomes divorced. So Rabbi Lezer holds, since they put it in their mouth in a permitted reason, they're allowed to swallow it. Rabbi Shua holds no. At the time of the Isur, now they're also to eat truma. Therefore, they shouldn't swallow it. They should spit it out. Other cases, like the Kohen who ate truma and found out he's the son of a divorcee, after Rabbi Lezer might, even Rabbi Lezer would agree, since now he knows he's also to eat truma, even though he put it in his mouth before he found out, he cannot swallow it. He has to spit it out. The reason is, in this situation, from the time of birth he was possible. He was never permitted to eat truma. So even the beginning of his eating 2 minutes ago was not beheta. Therefore, Rabbi Lezer agrees he's not allowed to swallow the truma. He has to spit it out. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak. Now, Rabbi Yochanan makes a chiluk between cases where the beginning of the achila was beheta and cases where you find out even though the beginning was be'isur. So the Gemara explains the raya to this chiluk. Amar Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak. From the Mishnah we can learn this difference. It says, or there was food in the mouth, but no dashul tebel. He finds out, it's tebel. Or it's master rishon shlein trumasa. Truma has not been taken. Master sheni v'hekta shlein niftu. In these cases, spit it out. You cannot swallow it. In all these cases, he finds out the things were forbidden to him even before he was eating them. They were forbidden. But Rabbi Lezer doesn't argue on that. He agrees you're not allowed to swallow it. Mata, but Rabbi Lezer. So why then? What's the reason Rabbi Lezer, who argues in the first cases, allows you to swallow it? Why in some cases the wife who became divorced in the middle, she's allowed to swallow it? What's the difference? You have to say the reason is Mishum, because in these cases, even though you find out it's also, but hischil beheta, when you started eating, you were allowed to eat at the beginning, before it became possible. So from the words of the Mishnah itself, we can find this chiluk between a case of a wife of a Kohen or an Eved who become possible after they put it in their mouth. And then Rabbi Lezer says, look, the beginning of the eating was beheta, when she was the wife of a Kohen, so they can swallow it. And then you have a case of a Kohen who finds out he's a halal after he put it in his mouth. Now it comes out he was possible. From the beginning, he was never permitted to eat truma. And therefore, even at the beginning of the eating was asur, and therefore Rabbi Lezer agrees he's not allowed to swallow it, he has to spit it out. You get that? So it all depends on when he started eating, was he permitted to eat or not. Turning, now we bring a brisa who argues on that Mishnah, and explains Rabbi Lezer slightly differently. Turning Rabbi Lezer, but no Rabbi Lezer over. No, Rabbi Lezer says you bring it in your mouth and you find out you can swallow it. Not because of that reason that I've told you. Oh, you started beheta. That's not the reason. Rabbi Lezer said, listen to this. When you bring truma in your mouth, and now you find out, I can't eat it. He says you can swallow it. Why? Because halos, the chewed food, is considered as swallowed. Kabalua. You hear that? The chewed food is as if it's already swallowed. Rabbi Lezer treats a food that's been chewed about in your mouth like a food already swallowed. So you don't have to spit it out when you find out it's a problem, because it's already chewed, it's considered already swallowed. So according to this, even in the cases where the beginning of the eating was be'isur, Rabbi Lezer says, look, it's in your chewed mouth, you don't have to spit it out. Okay? So it comes out different to what we said, according to the brisa. The dinner of Rabbi Lezer was said not only for things like Ashes Kohen who found out in the middle, after you put it in the mouth, no. Even a Kohen who finds out it's a halal. He was never kosher to eat truma. But he's put it in his mouth. Now we find out it was be'isur. He doesn't have to spit it out because it's already chewed.
So it's very good anyway.
Yeah, it's considered already chewed. Now we bring other dinim where we have mashmos to the reason of Rabbi Lezer that a chewed food is considered swallowed. And we find Af Shabbos came. With Shabbos we find this. A chewed food is like swallowed. So if you chew a food, and it's also because of Isuri Shabbos, and then you find out that it's also, you don't have to spit it out. After Pesach came, same thing with Chametz. A chewed food is like swallowed. If you swallow food on Pesach, when you find out it's Chametz, you don't have to spit it out. After Yom Kippurim came, the same with eating food on Yom Kippur. After Nazir came, same thing with Isuri Nazir, that a chewed food is like swallowed. So if you chew the grapes in his mouth and then he's a Nazir, he doesn't have to spit them out. After Nevelas came, also with Nevela. After Travis came. After Shgatzim came, with insects. After Ramosim came. So all these Isurim, a chewed food is considered absorbed and swallowed. So if you chew a food in your mouth and then he finds out it's also because of any reason, he doesn't have to spit it out. In all these cases, according to the Mishnah, if the beginning of the eating was Be'isur, usually you can't swallow it. But according to this Brisa, a chewed food is already swallowed, even though he was never permitted to eat it. Once it's chewed, he's allowed to swallow it. Okay? Now, Rav Chia, now we mentioned about the is of eating insects. The Gemara brings Rav Chia Shem Rabbi Yochanan, Hashech behema. You slaughter an animal, Mazabah shekets, you find in the lung, let's say a type of worm, Asabachid, you can't eat it. Ma'ata, what's the source of this? It says, V'chol behema tzarechelu. An animal in an animal you should eat. Only an animal found in an animal you can eat. But an insect found in an animal, you can't eat it. Oh, Rav Yosha, he asked, Ma beina, what difference is there between that? Lebein zizin sheba adoshim. It seems types of insects, minuscule insects, which are found on lentils, aliatushin biklisin, other insects found on types of pulses, various worms in the dates, shabigregras, where they are permitted to be eaten. Various types of things, as we'll see in the Brisa. Now the din is an insect. We're talking here about an insect that was born and grew inside the fruit and has never left the fruit. In such a case, you're allowed to eat it.
But you would say that with a worm in the lung?
These cases, we're asking the differences. I'm just saying, when the cases where it's permitted, it's where the insect was actually born inside the fruit and grew up in the fruit and has never left the fruit. An insect born and grew outside a fruit and goes inside, or born and grew inside but then left and went for a holiday and then came back, then that's also to be eaten. Right? So shkasim found in lentils, or the dates ones, are permitted. They're born inside the fruit and they've never left it. That's what so we're not talking about what we find in dates. We're not talking about that. Here we're talking the ones that are permitted are insects that grew inside the fruit and have never left the fruit. Okay? The insects in the lung are also, they grew outside the body and then went through the nose into the lung. You understand? They didn't grow inside the lung. Okay, so we're asking, what's the difference? Taman, over there with the insects and the lentils, the gufeinhen, they're born inside the fruit. And therefore, they never left their permitted to be eaten. But here, it doesn't come from the animal itself, it comes from outside. And then sira mayasa, the fish stew, which you find in Murias, which is this sort of fish stew. And there's blood of fish mixed with it. As long as it's all mixed and you can't actually see the blood, sorry, it's okay. It's permitted. Remember, fish blood is permitted, but not really when it's on its own. It's in the mixture, it's okay. From the time that it becomes clear and you can see the fish blood, also then you can't eat it. Dam ala kika, you find a bit of blood on a loaf of bread. Let's say the person bites it and some blood goes on the loaf. Gerda, you should rub it away, but you can eat the rest. If it was blood coming from your teeth and it's not actually left your mouth yet, you can eat it, and you don't have to worry. So this blood here, if it's coming from, now this dam shaloi pirish, right? Blood that's not come away, like the blood from between the teeth is not forbidden to be eaten. Because people don't see that you're like sucking blood. They're not going to think that dam behema is permitted. Some say the blood between the teeth is mutter because everyone can see it's not dam behema, it's dam adon. Maybe you can even squeeze blood from your finger, according to this opinion. Because everyone can say it's not blood of an animal, it's blood of a person coming from a finger. All right, let's carry on.
It's not Yisod Dam Chai?
Not of a person. It's Gezerah because of Dam Behema. So what we got here? Now we come back to the is of eating shkotzim. Okay, we've learned that insects that are grown inside the fruit are permitted. Now we discuss this now. Tani, hazizin, ubazbuzin, the higzin, types of insects, which are growing inside the fruit. Now, had the Torah just said all the insects which are shorets, shekets, are you mustn't eat, Yachal, I might think they're forbidden bisman shein beperi when they're still in the fruit. Kol Haloshon. Talmud Lema, it says no. It says shekets heim. We learn the issur is only bisman shein b'fnei atzmim when they're independent. Lo bisman sheperi, not when they're in a fruit. Had the Torah said this, Yachal, I might think afilu yatsu, even if the insects left the fruit, v'chazru, and they went back inside. With shekets heim, Talmud Lema is what it says. Shekets who? Shekets who? We learn the issur is all insects which are shores on oretz. Afilu yatsu, even if they left the fruits, v'chazru, and they went back. Now we've learnt in the Brisa insects growing inside the fruit and they've gone away and come back are also. Even if they left from the inside, and they stood on the edge of the food, on the outer shell, the outer peel, and then they went back in, they are forbidden. They're not when it's gone elsewhere, but even if it's still on the outer skin, it is forbidden.
Like a worm, basically.
Yeah. You slaughter an animal, you find a fetus looking like a pig. Even though it's a demus of a the thing's permitted. But if you find it was yaina, if you find it looking like a dove or something, although it's a kosher bird, it is forbidden. What's the source for this? It says every animal, we learn an animal inside an animal after shchita is mutter. Not a bird that's found inside an animal. Not an insect found inside an animal. So if you slaughter a behema tahira and you find a behema, even though it looks like a behema tamea, like chazir, it's permitted. If it looks like a bird, it is forbidden. We said, if a guy is eating truma and he thinks, wait a minute, there's something bad tasting in my mouth. There's like some sort of insect or something with his truma. You should spit it out. Now the Mishnah says, no, the mixture of truma with this insect was also, according to everyone, he couldn't swallow it. He should spit it out. Not only he's spitting it out from his mouth, not in a case where you notice the flavor of this insect, which is forbidden. Anything where you just feel sick about. Even though it's not issur, you're allowed to spit out the truma from your mouth. You don't have to worry that you are making truma lose out. Halacha base. Now we bring other arguments between Rav Lezer and Yeshua, where something was permitted and then things changed. Now fruit which is not taken ma'aser, you can eat it in a temporary nature before you bring it into your courtyard. Once it goes into the courtyard, then even if it's just, or Shabbos comes in as well, either it's gone in your courtyard or Shabbos has come, then everything is fixed for ma'aser, you cannot eat it a temporary eating. So let's say you're eating a temporary food in eshbol, a bunch of grapes, let's say in a garden. You're eating a bunch of grapes, a cluster of grapes, in a garden where there's no ma'aser obligation. But v'nechnas, while you're eating, you go minagina lachatze, you go into the courtyard, which does fix a ma'aser obligation. Rabbi Lezer Omer Yigmor, he says, carry on eating, you don't have to take ma'aser. Rabbi Shua Omer Lo Yigmor, he says, no, you mustn't finish. You can't finish, you have to take ma'aser first. Or if you're eating the cluster of grapes, not ma'aser on Friday, Shabbos, and Shabbos comes in. Shabbos brings its own ma'aser obligation. Rabbi Lezer Omer says, you can carry on eating until he finishes the whole thing. Rabbi Shua Omer Lo Yigmor, Rabbi Shua says, no, you mustn't. Now we said, once you bring in the courtyard, it has a ma'aser obligation. Now, what about a tree that grew in a courtyard? A fig tree that grows in a courtyard, you can take one by one, and you don't have to take ma'aser. If you take, let's say, in your hand 2 figs or more, then you have to take ma'aser. So we bring a Mishnah over there. This is a Mishnah in Yerushalmi Halacha Daled, okay, Maasros. Taman Tanion, in Maasros we've learned, the vine is actually in the courtyard, V'noitel is Kol Haloshon, you can take the cluster, and eat from it normally, you don't have to take ma'aser v'chein b'rimayin v'chein b'batiyach. The same with pomegranate or whatever, watermelon, whatever. You can take these things and eat it. You don't have to take ma'aser divrei Rav Tarfon. That's Rav Tarfon's view. Rav Zehira Rav Chiya b'shem Rav Yochanan, he said, Rav Tarfon, he said it could be. I can explain this, Rav Tarfon, one of two ways. Rav Tarfon said you can go and eat this cluster, right, from this tree. So Rav Tarfon consider Rav Lezer. Maybe he was like Rav Lezer and Mishnah, that since you started beheta, you can finish the lot. So Rav Tarfon allowed you to take all the clusters in the courtyard, even though by joining them together, because the first grape you could eat, so you can eat the lot. It could be Rav Tarfon, maybe, I say he treats maybe he treats the end of the eating like its beginning. The end of the cluster and its beginning are like one fruit. So it allowed you to gather everything without taking ma'aser, because one fruit has no ma'aser obligation. You hear that? So either he holds, since you've started, you can carry on. I've started, so I'll finish, is a phrase in common society, yeah? Or maybe he is saying here that the first bite is like the last bite. Basically, it's all one bite. That's another way of looking at it. Rav Ila, Rav Yasa, B'Shem Rav Yochanan, Rav Tarfon, Rav Lezer, he says this is a different version of Rav Yochanan. Either Rav Tarfon is like Rav Lezer, that, you started beheta, you can carry on. Rav Tarfon, maybe Rav Tarfon, I say, he treats achila achas, one eating. Two or three eatings, ka'achila achas, like one eating. So a cluster which has got many eatings is considered as one fruit. And there's no tziruf to obligate ma'aser. So it's a similar way of looking at it. It's slightly different wording, but it's the same idea. So either because you've started, you can finish, or all the eating is considered one. Now, what's the reason of Rav Lezer in the two cases here? When you eat the cluster in your garden, and you end up in the courtyard, Rav Lezer says you can carry on eating. What's his reason? You started beheta in the courtyard, therefore you can finish it, even though you've gone into the courtyard. Now the Gemara brings a brisa which explains words Rav Lezer slightly differently. Tani Rav Nassim, he says, "Laisha Amar Rav Lezer." Another Rav Lezer said you can finish the whole thing in the courtyard. Mishum shehischel by beheta, because you started beheta, you can carry on. No. And Rav Lezer, Yam Tel Motzi Shabbos. Rav Lezer says, you know what? Wait till Motzi Shabbos, or leave chutz la'achotze. You've got to leave the courtyard. You've gone in the courtyard. Stop eating. Go back out. Then you can carry on. Not that you can just carry on regardless. But Yigmar. So either you have to wait till Motzi Shabbos or you have to leave the courtyard. Right? Okay. Halacha Gimel. Right. Yain Truma. This is the sugya of Giloi, right? Leaving the liquids uncovered. Okay? We've all been waiting. I've been waiting for this. Almost after. So the Chachamim forbade you to have drinks which are left uncovered, because we're worried maybe a snake got to them, right? And it's a venom inside. So we're talking about what's the din of yain of truma, which has been left uncovered. Yain truma sheniz galo. Now, of course, in time of Chazal, there were many snakes. They're worried about all these things. Maybe there's venomous, hakadas nefashos. You have to guard yourself. Nowadays, many Rishonim hold you don't have to worry about gilo. And you're allowed to have drinks which will be left uncovered. So passes Shulchan Aruch. Some say there are lands like Israel and Egypt where even nowadays there are snakes, and you should be careful. They say in the name of the Gra, he who kept all the dinim, there are many hidden dinim and many secret dinim in this. So don't think, there's no snakes, so I can drink. No, there's more to it than that. Yain truma shenis galo, yishafech, you should pour it out. You don't worry about hefsed truma, because anyway you can't drink it because of sakana. Definitely chulin wine. You left it uncovered, throw it out. 3 liquids is a problem if they're left uncovered. Water, wine, and milk. Other drinks are okay, because the snake doesn't drink them. How long must they be left uncovered for it to be forbidden? The snake can come from nearby and drink it. What's the share that it shouldn't be also? It should ruin basically the venom will get mixed up. Enough time that the venom, so how much water, when the venom gets diluted because of so much water, then it won't be forbidden. Rabbi Yossi, he says, Bekalim, water uncovered, which is in vessels, kol shehein, even the smallest bits, even a very massive share, With a karkois, if it's in the ground, a pit in the ground, is permitted if you have a bottom saw, if you have a share of 40 saw. Okay, according to the Tanakh, there's no difference between the kalim and the ground. You can be mevatel the eres, be mevatel the venom. According to Rabbi Yossi, in the vessel, it can't nullify the venom at all. And what's in the ground, 40 saw, it can nullify the venom. Okay. So you've got fruit, which you've got a worry that maybe some venom has gone inside the fruit. So you've got figs or grapes, kishuin, avatich, melons, watermelons, zilun, pumpkins, bluff. These fruits, they look like they've got holes in. They're forbidden to be eaten. Afilu hein kika, even if they're very big, the weight of a kika. Whether the fruit is big or small. Whether it's still connected to the ground or not. If it's got moisture of the fruit, also it is forbidden the whole fruit. When the animals, the snakes bites, asura is forbidden, because it's dangerous, because the venom can affect something. So an animal, this is an animal, maybe an animal that was hit by a snake, bit by a snake, then you cannot eat the animal. The filter for wine is also. So wine that was left uncovered, that went through a filter, is still also. Because maybe the snake drank a bit and put a venom, and the venom went through the filter. Rabbi Nechemia allows you to drink the wine. He says the venom doesn't go through the filter. Rabbi Yaakov he says, a food that you cooked in water that's left uncovered, you should pour it out. Definitely chulin when you should pour it out. Our Mishnah tells us this. Wine of truma left uncovered, pour it out. We don't worry about truma. Definitely chulin, you should pour it out. Now, if there was a solution by cooking it, why does the Mishnah say pour it out? You can just cook it. So you see from our Mishnah, cooking a liquid doesn't remove the venom. If wine was left uncovered, also don't leave it, pour it straight away. We don't want to drink it. If it went and fermented of its own accord, also it's still forbidden. So figs and grapes that you've got holes in and maybe a venom went in there, also don't leave them. If they dried out melen, if they went and dried and shriveled and they become dry grapes, whatever mutaris they're permitted, it means there was no venom. Because had there been venom, it would stop them from drying out. Okay. Now in Bavli it says wine that's left uncovered, which has become chometz, fermented rather, there's no isogiloi, because there's no venom there. The venom won't allow it to ferment. The Bavli and Yerushalmi are arguing on this. We say it can ferment. Okay. Right, let's carry on. Berate de Rabchia Rabba, the daughter of Rabchia the Great. She was making holes in the figs with kavana, begin to stop the people in the household eating, and that way they'll still stay with their father. So she put holes in to stop everyone eating. Rabchia father ate from them. But less also, isn't it forbidden? I mean, things with a hole are also to be eaten. For him it was done. Reb Chia knew that his daughter made the hole and that there was no snakes around. I feel again also, it's not also, like in Tanya, we not learn Rasi Panagas Potato, you see a bird making a hole in a fig, or a mouse. Also, you shouldn't eat it. We're worried maybe there's venom. And maybe where there is the hole through the snake, maybe a bird or mouse ate. Basically, Reb Chia should worry, maybe after the daughter made a hole, a snake came along and put a venom there, exactly where the hole was. Why is he not worried? The snake has put a hole. So when answers habas. After she made the hole, she would guard them. She made sure there was no snakes around. That's why he was allowed to eat them. Now, we learned wine is one of the drinks you mustn't leave uncovered. There are different types of wine which do not have an is of giloi. That which is sharp, amar and bitter, v'amotek and sweet, there's no problem leaving it uncovered because the snakes don't drink these things. That which is sharp, amar and bitter, v'amotek and sweet, there's no problem with yain nesach either. They're not considered significant. But Simon Mefarish explains Achad is konditon, like this sort of honey drink. But Hamal, that which is bitter, that's pistinon, the wine cooked with a sort of bitter herb. But Hamasa, Chamra Bavasha, that's cooked wine. Rishur Bazidel, Havalei Chamra Bavasha, he had cooked wine, which was deposited in a guy's house. He asked him, is the wine permitted? He says, so he said, Yain Motak, if it's cooked wine, Aim by Lai Mishum Gila is no problem of Gila, but Lai Mishum Yain Neser. Yain Mavushal is no problem of Yain Neser. Rabbi Yana Bishmael, Ivash, he was ill. Salkut Legabe, Reb Zira went to visit him. Moshe, Rebun Bakahana, Reb Chananya, Chabren Rabbanan, Hol Chachamim, Reb Akatzi went to visit him. Chamon, they saw B'Shem and Zidul, Yosef, he was sitting there, Amr, and they say, Hamara Shmuata. Well, here's the one who said it all, Rabbi Yana Bishmael. He said, name of Shlokish, cooked wine is not a problem. Not because of Giloi, not because of Yain Nesach. But Uvda. And here, look, the Balamaisim, Shabbat Zaidul. Now, his wine mavushal was in the guy's house. Asa v'shadilei. Let's go and ask him if that was the story. And that was the tshuva of Rish Lakish. Amalai, he says, Rabbi Yana Bishmael, Kain Amr Shemei Lakish, Matak, you've got cooked wine, Ein Balem Shem Giloi, no problem being uncovered, Lem Shem Yain Nesach, no problem Yain Nesach. Amalai Reb Zira said, to Dilma, Mida Elaine. Maybe this was one of the dinim. To Rishim ben Lakish, to Hachin. He was like, I wasn't sure. Yes, no. Right? Maybe he wasn't so sure about it. Maybe he never said it's halacha l'maisa. Amalei Rav Yana said, Lai, no. It was said le'uvda. It was said halacha l'maisa v'samchin alai, and you can rely on it. Ka'nachtun, when they went from the house of Rabbi Yanai, Kom Rabbi Ila Ibn Rabbi Bun Bar Kahana. Rabbi Ila met him. He wasn't one of the visitors before. He met Rabbi Bun Bar Kahana, who was with him. Amalei, Rabbi Ila said to Rabbi Bun, Ilule da'aton merachmin shmuasa v'lo masnisi. Were it not for the fact that you love the shmuas of the Amoraim, and this din of Shlokish is learnt in a brisa. And he brings a brisa. The Tzadi Rav Chia. Yain mevushal shel goyim, wine which is cooked from goyim. Lama, so why is it forbidden? It was wine of a guy. Basically, it was wine before it became cooked, and it's forbidden. And chomet shel goyim lama, so why is vinegar of goyim asur? Shohem etchilasa yain. Before it fermented, it was wine in the guy's area, and then it became asur. It sounds like if it reached the guy after being mevushal, there's no problem of yain nesach. Right, he said this did, but we can learn it out from here that there's no problem yain nesach if it's mevushal. So the one brings us support for this brisa. So as Nizam came for the Mishnah, we see this. Hayayin v'achomet shel goyim. You got the wine or vinegar shel goyim. Shem b'tchilas yain, which was wine, is also banav yain nesach, implying that if it reaches the guy when it's already vinegar, then it's mutabana. Right? Then there's no din of yain nesach in such a case. Rav Imi, he had guests. He says, were it not be for the fact that my cooked wine was uncovered, having a mashke I would give you some to drink. Rabbi says, I see banashal to bring it, and I will drink it. I'll drink it. I'm not worried about yain mavushal because of being uncovered. Rabbi said, here's what Yamos Gabay says. Someone who wants to endanger himself and go and die, let him die in his own house. He doesn't have to die here. I don't want to give him from my house something dangerous. But Ayudmi, he got it condition today. His honey wine got uncovered, left uncovered. Also, Shalabani, also Chachamim Amrullah. He said, also, it's forbidden. That if it's sharp, bitter, and cooked, so chad is this conditun, and it seems there's no problem with being it left uncovered. And you're saying it's forbidden. Rabbanan de Kesri in the Chachamim Kesaria, they said Titos. Some say it can't be Titus because you wouldn't name someone after Titus, but it might be Titos. No, they allowed it. That type that they grind the pepper in a third of the quantity of the wine. But the one of Bar Yudni seems to have that shear. So if they had such spices in, and that affected it, so it didn't become problematic when it was left uncovered. They asked Rabbi, Yain sheniz bashal sheniz gala, cooked wine was left uncovered. What's the din? Mao. Amalani says Karaina. even with Karyena, which is a type of sweet wine from the beginning, Rabbi Yochanan wasn't sure, is there a problem with Giloi? But Atzan Shad and Lein, you're asking me about cooked wine, which was not sweet from the beginning? So if Rabbi Yochanan wasn't sure about Karyena, where there's a Giloi, like Koshken Yaim Mevushal, definitely cooked wine, there should be a problem of this Giloi. Now, one of the people comes with the same question to someone else. Oh, sure, someone asked the question to Rabbi Yitzchak. Amalei says, cooked wine which is left uncovered, also, is forbidden. And in our Rebavo, he remembered Rebavo's Rabbi Yochanan said clearly that cooked wine left uncovered, it is also, it is forbidden. Now the Gemara comes to a new din. There are cases where a snake is afraid to drink from uncovered liquids. Therefore, they're not also. Rabbi Yaakov say, if the person's going in and out of the house, the liquids uncovered are permitted. Mutter, you can drink. The snake is afraid when you're going in and out. His barrel of wine was uncovered. Oh, Shah, he asked Rabbi Baba, what's the din? Amalei says, if he's going in and out, then the barrel is mutter, is permitted. Now, another case where the snake is worried, Rabbi Yaakov Baracha, Rabbi Mishem, Rabbi Lazim, Haya Yoshem. If someone was sleeping near the uncovered liquid, mutter is permitted. Rabbi Chanina, Rabbi Shubei Levi, Chadama once said Yoshem. If it's near someone who's sleeping, mutter, it's okay, because the snake will be afraid. Rabbi Chanam and the other one said Yoshem, also is forbidden. We don't know who said what. Who forbade it? Who permitted it? Mistabra, it makes sense. So Rabbi Chanina Yashin, Rabbi Chanina was the one who said Yashin is mutter. If you're sleeping, is permitted. The V'chol Asa, every place Rabbi Lazar Samach Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Lazar always would support Rabbi Chanina and hold like him. And since Rabbi Lazar earlier on held Yashin is mutter, it's logical to say Rabbi Chanina was the one who. So who's this? Yeah, Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Lazar always supported Rabbi Chanina, and since Rabbi Lazar held Yashin is mutter, then Rabbi Chanina must be the one who permitted it. Right? The reason why we allow Yain Mevushal, because it's so sweet, the snakes don't drink from it. Right? Okay. So Maskani says, with cooked wine with Issa Giloi. In Bavli, it's brought the stam that there's no problem with Giloi. So passes the Rambam. Bavli says there's no problem. Okay. Rabbi Yossi ben Shol, Mishtaya Hanuvda. He said this story. The woman loved mitzvah tzedakah. She loved doing charity. Her husband hated the mitzvah tzedakah. Once a poor man came along. A poor man, she gave him to eat. While he was eating, the woman noticed her husband's about to come in. She's worried he'll get cross that she's given food to the poor man. Yeah, I have to go, Elise. She hid the poor man in the attic. After a while, she gave food to the husband to eat. And now the husband ate. He slept a bit. He dozed off in the middle of his meal. A snake came along. He came and ate what was in front of the husband. And the poor man's looking from the attic and seeing that the snake is eating from the food. Minditar! Did that wake you up, Rabbi son? Minditar, when he woke up. Come by me, the husband wanted to carry on eating. And then the one in the attic started warning him, don't eat. The poor man is warning the husband, don't eat. The snake ate from it. Now the fact is, the snake was prepared to eat, even though the guy was sleeping. This tells me, Yashin, that if a person's sleeping, also, I'm afraid it doesn't help. It's still forbidden. Now, it could be there's no proof from here, because Barehava, maybe the snake was used to this house, and he was trusted in this house. So he wasn't worried about someone who's sleeping. Maybe usually snakes are afraid, but here this one was a regulated home pet snake. Is this woman not forbidden to her husband because she's misyached with the poor man? The Gemara answers, well, since he's not suspect for this, he's not suspect for this. He's not suspect of murder. He actually saved the husband, so you don't expect him to do zinus either. Because those who are immoral often might do murder as well. So it's in Yafu V'dam B'dayan. Yeah. In Bavli, it brings a similar story. And then the Gemara asks, well, it's Pashut. He would want the husband to die. So why do you have to bring a prosuk? If he's really immoral, he would want the husband to die. And the Gemara says, no, stolen waters are sweet. Is that right? He might prefer the husband to be alive and do the Aveira knowing the husband's alive. Masa, we have a story. Betabach with Sipori, a butcher of Sipori. He gave all insects to the Jewish people to eat. He drank wine, he got drunk. He went to the roof and he fell on Mace, he died. And the dogs are lipping their lips at his blood. And then Shabbos comes in. Ask him and they ask from Chanina, can we move on Shabbos from the dogs? Can we allow move a muksa before him? And he said, Sivi says, the nevela, the trefa, you can't eat, you throw it to the dog. Look at it. This person said, he stole the dogs. He took away, he gave nevela trefa, right? He gave nevela trefa to Klal Yisrael. He stole the nevela trefa from the dogs. Therefore, Macheles Yisrael, he gave trefa to the Jewish people. Therefore, Arpunun, leave him to be did hiding and achlin. They're eating from their own. It's considered he belongs to the dogs because he took their food. He goes back to being their food. He was mezazah. He didn't care about leaving wine uncovered. As he got an illness, his body became very hot because of the venom in the wine. They saw him eating, lecturing on Yom Kippur. He had water to cool himself down. Something for a healthy person is absolutely forbidden. So he must have been pretty ill. He was uncovered for him a barrel of wine. He went on Erev Yom Kippur to pour out the wine. Someone saw him. He says, hey, give me to drink. He says, isn't not Yain Megula. How can you drink from it? He says, give it to me. And Hashem, who has the fast, he'll help me to shield me. Like Asper Mishle Adis Chachal, he didn't manage to finish his drinking until it went the venom throughout his body and he died. All the venom, marlin, the other insects' venom, they bring wounds in the body. The as nachash memis, but the venom of the snake can kill. He says, you have to assume that there is venom. You don't ask, is there things uncovered, is there a problem? You have to assume probably there is a venom there. You don't ask a shaila about gilui. You should be machmir out of Suffolk, right? Reb Yirmiyah, Shal Reb Zira, Marish Wasa. He went to Reb Zira, who said these things over about liquids which are uncovered. And although Reb Yirmiyah Shaleh, he asked him what to do, Reb Zira was showing himself dozing. He didn't want to answer his questions. Now the Gemara brings a story which happened to Reb Zira with liquids that are uncovered. Reb Zira Abba Yosef Achil, he's eating, he starts sleeping. Oh, he's waking. He put his hand on the vessel called Tamanta to cover it so the Nacha shouldn't come and drink from it. He told his household, Adlikun Botzina, light a candle, Adlikun, they lit a candle, Vashkachun Shefofina, they found a type of snake, Shudoma Lesara, which is like very thin, like the head, like a hair. Karech Ale, that was around the vessel. Amalei said to the snake, Rashia, wicked one, had I not been careful, that I put my hand on the vessel, otherwise I would have drunk from it. And there was a snake there. Right? Some say when he saw the fact that he put his hand on the vessel, it would not stop this snake to drink from it. He said, Russia, because you're so small, I wasn't so careful. Had we not lit the candle, I would have been stumbling. Rabbi says, you have to worry what people worry about. For example, please do not put money in your mouth. We do not know where that money has been. Don't leave food under a bed. There's rach ra there on food left under a bed. Don't leave bread under your armpit, because again, it's a smelly place. Mitzah sakina go pugla sakina go esrega. Don't stick a knife into a radish or a knife into an esrog, because the sharpness of the knife is not noticeable, and maybe a person will fall on it or sit on it. Because any sweat coming from a person, some others who can be poisonous, apart from sweat coming from the face. They asked Rabbi Yonasan a question about liquids uncovered. And he said, do you think I'm a guarantor for your soul? I have to warn you, don't endanger yourself? Rabbi Yanai said, that they asked him about leaving things uncovered. If you're going to be lenient and drink, in kata shichar, if you benefit a bit, but there's no venom, you've only got something little. But in Ivad, if you've made the wrong mistake and there is venom there, oh my God, you're going to lose the jewel. If you're going to end up losing and be harmed, you've lost the jewel, you've lost your soul. He said, they asked him about Gila. Had you sold yourself to the cannibals, right, who eat flesh? You would sell yourself for a bigger lot of money. And here, you want to eat a suffix, something which is left uncovered? You're endangering yourself. But damin kalilin, for a little price. Third, if you note in a brisa, mayim shenis galu, water left uncovered. Lo yirabes behen. Don't start cleaning the floor with it, but start wasting your head. Lo yishmachem shos rabbi, don't throw it into the street. Lo yashke the guy, don't give it to a guy to drink. Lo yashke behem neves chaber, don't give your animals, your friend's animal. Al mashke behem to, you can give it to your animal. It's your money, give it to your animal. Other things you can't do. Don't put the cement in there to make the cement, because maybe the venom will come on your hands. Don't wash vessels with it. Don't wash cups and plates. In various pots. Definitely don't wash your hands and face. They only forbade you to wash with water uncovered in certain places of the body where there's scratches and holes where the venom will go inside the body. Now there are other opinions. There are other places which have sirta. Panav kasirta. Your face is like a place with holes, like the ears and the lips. And Rasha Etzba is the ends of your fingers. Yodav Raglav kasirta. They're also very soft, and again between the nail and the flesh. The venom left, the water left uncovered. Don't start making a dough out of it, because it will go in the dough, and if you make a dough and you bake it, you can't eat the bread. He said, if you bake the dough, mutter, you can eat from it. Because the venom of the snake disintegrates in the heat when you bake it. Rav Simon, he said, you can eat from the baked bread. But she'ena no felas, when the bread doesn't break up easily when you hold it. No felas, if it breaks up easily, also is forbidden. That's the sign the venom is still very strong. Now, everyone agrees you leave water uncovered, which was heated, you can't drink from it. What's the difference between water and bread? He says, with baking, the fire is strong and destroys the venom. But heating water, the fire doesn't destroy the venom. And the reason is with heating water, hakeli, the vessel that water is heated in, masik, is a gap between the venom in the water and the fire. But in the baking, hakeli masik, you don't have a vessel in between the venom in the bread and the fire in the oven. Now the Gemara brings the view of an Amira, who was lenient with water that was uncovered, which was heated. What's this snake going to do, this wicked snake? How can it harm me? I'm only drinking hot water. From here we learn, the cold water left uncovered, which has become heated, mutarin is permitted. Rochanin said, this snake, it's a bit choosy in what it does. It doesn't drink hot water that's become cold, because it knows, the taste has changed through the fire. From here we learn, if it was hot water and became cold, mutarin is permitted because the snake is not going to drink it. I bring another opinion from whether cold water which was heated later, or hot water which cooled down and is now uncovered, also you're not allowed to drink, because it could be there is a venom in there. Masnisa Messiah, the Brisa supports the view of Rabbi Yochanan. We said chamin hot water. Kozman shehed malin hebel, when they produce steam, re'elu mutarin, they are permitted because of giloi. The snake is worried to drink it because of the steam, and it sounds like if it stays uncovered even after the steam has stopped, it is forbidden. So yeah, if it stays uncovered, then it will be forbidden. We've also learned of a maima megulin, cold water uncovered, even though you heat it up, re'elu asurin, they are forbidden because the venom doesn't go away through the heat. Okay. Right, how are we doing? We might have to stop here. Let's see. Oh, no, it's big stick, yeah. Okay, a few more lines. Mei kavoshin, water that vegetables have been pickled in. And mei shalakos, water that vegetables have been cooked. Mei tumusin, water that these beans have been cooked in. Are'elu, they're permitted if they're left uncovered, because they have a strong taste from the vegetables, and the snakes don't drink it. Water you wash these beans and things. So it is forbidden for giloi. But since it's only a tiny taste of the vegetable, the snake will drink it. And water you washed grapes and other types of vegetables. Uvshin is I can't remember what uvshin is. Grapes, grapes that are not ripened well. Then you do it for a sick person. If they're uncovered, also it is forbidden. Okay. I think we will stop here, Rabbi Sai.